Hey everyone, good afternoon. I have another special broadcast for you guys, and I just want to thank you for tuning in today. Whether you're watching live or you watching down the road on YouTube, I just want to thank you for tuning in today. And from the thumbnail, if you already see the thumbnail, this is a topic that I rarely see people talk about, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook. You really don't see a lot of people talking about it, but I feel like it's something that we all need to know and need to know when how to do it the proper way. Even for myself, like I'm making this, I'm doing this, interview with Raina because I want to know myself. So this is gonna be a kind of a difficult interview for me to do because I want to pay attention more than conducting the interview. But without further ado, guys, that's welcome Raina. Raina, how you doing?
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Man, no problem, no problem. And I just want to say, some people may or may not know about you. Give us a little brief background about yourself.
Well, I think one of the reasons why you invited me here today is because I like to share information, especially to people that I'm connected to in any way, in regards to how to advance your career, sales, um, management, things like that. So, personally, I've been in management for many, many years, going close to almost 2 decades at this point. And I have really figured out a way to help people when it comes to just career advancement, salaries, entrepreneurship as well, how to have a 9 to 5 while also building a legacy for yourself and your family on the side, and different things like that. So I have a passion for helping people. And but outside of that, I do a lot of things. I'm really like a jack of all trades, but I still master a lot of things. So I think that's just a little bit about myself.
Wow, great, great. And I don't want to waste people's time today. So let's go ahead and jump into this. We talking about the topic today is salary negotiation. And
Yeah.
it's two type of salary negotiation, of course. We talking about when you're when you've been offered a job and when you currently you already at your current employer. So let's start with the first one. When you interview for a position, you they made an offer to you. So where do we go from there?
Well, actually, I would challenge you to kind of take a step back from that and to
Okay.
start your negotiation before you even do an application. And what I mean by that is one of the things that happens in an interview process, especially for myself, I'm a vice president in banking and I've done a lot of interviews for a lot of people for a lot of different positions. And one thing that I do before even applying, talking or calling somebody, sometimes if I like a resume, you've taken the time to have a great resume. I'm going to look on your LinkedIn. I'm going to take a look to see what type of LinkedIn you have and what information you are putting on there. I'm going to take a look to see what information you like because everything that you like and comment on LinkedIn is tracked in an activity
Mm.
tab. I'm going to take a look to see what you post, what it reflects, recommendations, people that have engaged with you on there. And that not only does it help me to understand possibly who you are and the value that you've put into your own success and career, but it will also help me to decide this looks like someone I'd want to hire. So I'm already invested in this person before I even talk to them, most likely. Now,
Wow.
recruiter,
Wow.
yes, go ahead.
So I never thought about that, but that's very interesting. So I'm always telling people come to me and they say, "Hey, I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to do this and that." The first thing I ask people, I'm glad you brought that up. I ask, "Do you have a LinkedIn profile?" And majority of the time, people like either they say I don't, or they say I do, but I'm not even on it. I was
Yeah,
like, "Well, you behind the eight ball already,
yeah.
because you need to spend more time on LinkedIn than you probably do on Facebook."
Absolutely. I mean, LinkedIn is the purpose of LinkedIn is to network, and most jobs are found through networking. So I'll say this: I think my last three positions I've had came from LinkedIn. So, and then
Mm,
it's not from me looking at LinkedIn. It was from the way that I conduct myself on my LinkedIn, where I own my LinkedIn like I'm a content creator or something on my LinkedIn page, and I've been doing that for years. But the way that I own my LinkedIn, I've had so many people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I'd love to meet you for coffee to talk to you about this role, this role, this role. So even the ones I've decided not to take, they're in my back pocket and I have them for later. And imagine when it comes time to negotiate a salary, how invested is that person in you? They really know you more than just an interview process. You've shown them other things about yourself through your LinkedIn. Right
Wow.
now, sure, diversity and inclusion is very important. On my LinkedIn, that's all that I post about: diversity, inclusion, leadership, being a people manager, leading my people as a servant leader. So if I ever wanted to transition and I'm reaching out to people to be a LinkedIn, that's better than a resume. You get to see who I really am through my LinkedIn or who I'm
Wow.
presenting.
Wow. You hit on what I was about to go into next. I was about to ask you, when a person have a LinkedIn profile, what are some of the do's and don't they should have on their LinkedIn to make themselves more valuable?
Yeah. So what I do with my team, so usually I will set up my team. And mind you, my role has absolutely nothing to do with doing anything on LinkedIn. But because I am truly a people manager, I want to set my employees up to be successful, whether I'm their manager or not. I'll come in an hour early and make them all come to me with their laptops. And I'll create background LinkedIn photos for them. We'll make sure they get their headshots and we create a profile for them. Really, when it comes to LinkedIn, there's a lot of things that you just want to understand. How do I want to be presented if I wanted a job? If I wanted a job while still being a human, what presentation would I want to give? Is it the presentation you give on Facebook? Absolutely not. Is it the one you give on Instagram? Certainly not. But this is a whole different version of you, right? This is just the professional, happy go lucky version of you that you want every employer, potential employer, and employee to see of you. So here's the do nots, because that's a little bit easier, right? The do
Okay.
not forget that everything you do on LinkedIn is tracked in an activities tab. I
Okay.
had a young man, he had a great resume. His LinkedIn page looked great. His posts were beautiful, great posts talking about all these great things. I'm like, oh, he's going to be a great person for me to hire. I go to his activity tab, and unfortunately, LinkedIn people are entrepreneurs and they own their own businesses and they're very high up. And a lot of them don't care how they present actually. And this young man was liking comments that were extremely offensive, was liking posts that were conflicting or just difficult to participate in on a work level, viewpoints that might be contrary to things that maybe the company believes in or just me as a human being believes in. So I'm a pro Black woman and I make that very clear everywhere I go. And there's still certain things on LinkedIn, not that I will never ever lie, but I probably won't participate in a conversation on LinkedIn. But that
Just be
would
silent.
Exactly, but I put it on Facebook, right? So
Yeah.
even if I agreed with some of the stuff he liked or the things he did, the point is he's not consciously aware of himself enough. So maybe not going to interview this person or move forward with this person. And that's
And
LinkedIn.
you actually one of the people that's my Facebook friend and my LinkedIn connection. And you probably laughing in your head right now thinking about me. Like my LinkedIn is totally different from my Facebook. I'm the
Yeah,
perfect example of somebody night and day.
yeah. But that's exactly what it's a great representation of what I'm speaking about now. It really should be like, what? Like, so this is how you get down outside of work? Like, that's kind of like that's what it should be. So to go back
Yeah.
to your first question about, what do you do after you're offered? I really want to make sure it's clear that you're creating a package, a sale of yourself from the very beginning before you even apply. So if you're looking to get a new position and you want a new job and you want to get the best salary you can, start cleaning up, revamping, and participating in your LinkedIn. Get your resume to look nice. Start doing things where you are creating a brand for yourself, a brand that represents this person should be paid well. So for me, whenever someone interviews me, the way it's so funny. I interviewed somebody, I had an interview with someone the other day because I just will periodically just do interviews, even though I love what I do. I just want to keep my skills up and just see what's out there because everyone should do that. The man that interviewed me, I had never met him before. He's like, wait a minute, I know you from LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, you do? He's like, yeah. You're the one that does like those really cool team meetings in the morning where all your team's like shouting and screaming and everybody's getting excited. I'm like, yeah, that's me. He's like, oh my God, I love your LinkedIn page. I'm like, oh, thank you. This man's interviewing me for a role that's over $130,000. And you think
Mm.
he's gonna be like, no, let's lowball her. He knows me already before I even have to talk to him. So that is the reason why I'm saying create a brand that deserves a high salary. Okay. That's the first part. So then before you even get to a salary negotiation stage, you have to be aware of when salary could be brought up and be careful with how you communicate it. So I'm gonna break it down a
Okay.
couple times that this might come up. When a recruiter gives you a call, do they ask you, what are your salary expectations? So before you get to the negotiation stage of offering, this is not negotiations. And this is a
Mm-hmm.
big misconception that people have. They try to negotiate with an HR recruiter before they've even created enough value in the why should we hire you for this. So imagine anyone that's done sales in their life, you don't just tell people, you'll see people don't tell you the price of something. They explain everything first because they want
Yeah.
to create value. And then they tell you the price. And you're like, just tell me how much it is. Like, hold on, we have a problem. Let me explain to you what you're going to get at least. So you can at
Yeah.
least learn why you should want this. And as you learn, you're getting more into it. You're like, oh, okay. That is the interview process. So when it's now like, all right, now let me tell you how much I want to, how much I believe I should be paid. That's you created value. So when in the interview process, if an HR recruiter is asking you, what's your salary expectations? Something that I say, first of all, you should know the salary expectations of the role. You should know. You should know that if you're interviewing for a operations manager role, that typically is $80,000 to $100,000, right? Depending on the company. And you should know this by going to salary.com, payscale.com, Glassdoor.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies are required, or a lot of states are now required to tell you a salary range. New York, for example, Colorado, things like that. Do your research, right? One thing you can ask them is like, okay, so thank you for asking me about the salary or what my expectations are. What is the range? And you just ask them that, right? So that's the first very simple question that you can ask, like, what's the range for this role? So you kind of turn it back on them. And then that will usually get them to tell you an answer. So you're not the one saying it. So you say, what's the range? They say, oh, well, typically this role is 72,000 to 85,000. And remember, you've done your research. You
Yeah, I
don't
was about to say you take the
actually
research you already done and compare it to the
exactly.
range they're given. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And like 72,000 to 85. Yeah. Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that actually. I guess from the research I had done, I saw that the range was a little bit higher. So is that pretty typical for this role? Maybe I'm just not as aware. And it's okay to act kind of feign a little bit of ignorance. Like I've done research, but this is not what I was expecting actually. And then that's when they'll tell you, well, depending on your experience and the manager you interview with, they are able to go higher than that. Okay, thank you. Now, have you set a number yet? Absolutely not. You have just made it clear that that number is not it. I was expecting something higher, but you're not boxing yourself into something that's going to be unobtainable. You don't want this recruiter to go back to the hiring manager and say she said she wanted 100,000. We don't even know her yet. She can go. Like we'll
Yeah.
interview the other people. You don't want to accidentally disqualify yourself, whether you know it or not. Okay. So I personally I've found value and I have helped so many people with this where we don't really say what we are expecting to the non-hiring manager. We just let them know we've done some research. What's the range? Okay, great. Let's move on to the next thing, right? So that's the first
Hmm.
part. It's not often, but sometimes your hiring manager may even ask you in the interview, what is your salary expectation? I would suggest that you really think about, are they asking me in the beginning of the interview or are they asking at the end of the interview? So they're just coming out real quick and asking, like, yeah, your recruiter actually asked me that as well. She gave me a range. I'd love to discuss it more as I learn more about the role in this discussion. Still not answering the question, right?
Yeah.
But if they ask at the end and you've had a great interview and you've gotten to ask your questions and you're kind of at the very end, hey, by the way, Reina, what are your salary expectations for this role? That's a different time. This is the person that likes you. This is the person that knows
Exactly.
you now. This is the person that you're like, well, I kind of should tell them what I'm expecting, but make it a discussion. Thank you for asking. Actually, I talked to your HR recruiter about that, and she let me know that the range was between 72 and 85, but contingent upon my experience and things that I have, and how this conversation goes, that could go up higher. So, what is the limit? Where could we go with that salary? And let again put it back on them. Now you might have
Yeah.
someone that says, "Well, I'm asking you." That's very rare. But you might have someone say, "Well, that's why I'm asking you. What do you think?" And because you might have someone that knows the dance, they know the cadence, they know what you're
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, "Well, I've done a lot of research, and based off the research that I've done and my experience, with 10 years plus experience and doing this, and this, I really think I want to come in at $105,000. I think that's where I should be. Now I've gone to the very top of this 80 to 100, not just top. I went past it a little bit, right? And you're gonna learn right there in that moment how they feel about that. They're gonna say 105, like,
Yeah.
well,
Non-verbal. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, when you did the research, what did you see? I saw 100,000 to 105. I saw that. There's people who have just as much experience as me that have that. And then you can kind of like just stop. Don't say anything else. Don't start defending yourself. Just let that sit there. And they're like,
Okay.
okay, all right, well, we'll have someone give you a call in a couple of weeks. Okay, great. Thank you so much. And you leave it at that. Because the reality is either
Mm.
they're going to come to you at 95, 97, because you've gone, so your expectations are high. They're going to try to get you someplace near what you just said, or they're not going to call you at all. And that's when you have to know your brand is good enough that it's okay if they don't call you, because I'll get that salary with the next one. And it will happen that way if you actually have built a true brand and you know how to interview, which is obviously part of the
I
equation.
think that'll be the hard part for a lot of people when that person says, "I'm gonna call you back." A lot of people will be like, "Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up." Let's be real. People that hold up, like they really need this job. Everybody don't have that confidence. I'm just be real.
I think that's
So
great that you said that. That's so true. Confidence, you probably should drink a little, I don't know, something, get some courage before you go into salary negotiations. You do need to have some courage. And if you're not a courageous type, then don't engage it face to face then. So for
okay,
example, let's say, like, I am very confident. I've been negotiating my salary since I was 15 years old. So I'm like, I
yeah,
remember the
everybody ain't like you.
I know. So I'm aware that I have a very firm, strong personality. Um,
Okay,
but there are ways to do that that might make you not feel so uncomfortable, right? Um,
okay,
so let's say, what's your salary expectation? Same thing. Hey, your HR recruiter said that to me. She kind of gave me a range that was between 75 and or 72 and 85,000, but she let me know that contingent upon how this interview goes, in my experience, that there may be room for more. Do you know what that salary could go up to? Let's say they answer your question. You're like, okay, great. I'd love to. I'll be happy to talk to the recruiter about that. Should there be an offer? So you don't say that's what I want, but I'd be happy to talk to the recruiter about that if there's an offer. And if, let's say, no, I don't want to tell you the number, I want you to tell me the number. The hiring manager says that. Well, to be honest with you, I really would love to do some research. And now that I learned so much about this role from you, I really want to find out where that number is. So, should there be an offer, I would certainly be happy to discuss that with them. But I know where I was looking was closer to the 90 to 100,000 range. So now you say a range, right? But
yeah,
you've
okay,
also kept it open by saying, I need to do some more research now. Now that we've interviewed, I need to learn more. So that doesn't mean give me 90,000. That means
yeah,
now when they offer you 90,000, when they call you, say, hey, we're going to give you 90,000. Hey, and I told the hiring manager that I was going to do some research. And I did. And now that I've done that, and now that I learned a little bit more about this role, I really was expecting to come in closer to 98. So you can see something like that. So it makes it a little bit easier where you're not so,
yeah,
like on the spot, and you might get uncomfortable. The reality is that employers might say, I'll give you a call in a couple of weeks, regardless if they like you or don't like you. Sometimes I'll tell you I'll give you a call tomorrow. Sometimes they're more like me. I'm actually the type that'll call somebody right after the interview, like, hey, how much do you want to make again? Okay, thank you, and I'll hire them. So I'm pretty quick with if I like someone, I like them, and we're going for it. So
You don't have time to waste.
yeah, most hiring managers are not like that. They want to look at all the options. They want to find what's best out there. They want to compare the salary expectations and see what's going to help them with their P&L in the end. So that's that. Now, I know we've gone in pretty long with that. We haven't even gotten to the offer. So how do you handle the
No, we don't have a set time frame. Hey, it's Saturday. I have time today, so
Yeah.
it's time with it. We gonna slow walk it, no rush.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about salary negotiation when it's actually offered to you. You get the call.
Okay.
It's very exciting. You're like, oh my God, I love this job. I'm so excited. Let's go. Let's do it. They say, the hiring manager loved you. You were great in the interview. We're very excited. We want to go ahead and offer you the role of operations manager. I don't know why I'm using operations manager, but we want to offer you the role for operations manager. And the salary will be $85,000 annually. And we'll also
Okay.
talk about your bonus, the vacation package, and the benefits. How does that sound? Now, you just said the range was 80,000 to 100,000.
Mhm.
She told you in the interview, or before the recruiter told you, that it was going to be 72 to 85 is the range, but if you have more experience, they'll give you more. So technically this 85,000 is not what you were expecting at all. And let's say you told the person in the hiring manager a number, or let's say that never happened, doesn't matter, but it's just not what you're expecting. Like, okay, great, wow, I am so very, very excited. I mean, I am so excited to work for this company. I love Jim, who I interviewed with, and everything sounds great. I do want to ask you a little bit more about the salary and the benefits. Can you please explain to me all the benefits, any bonuses and things like that? I just want to get a good understanding of what comes with this. Now, this does not mean that you're going to accept the 85,000. You're just not freaking out, and you're giving yourself some time to get yourself together, to think
So
about
you
how to.
saying, so basically you saying in this point, you was like expecting. They told you the range 72 to 82, but they offer you a little more, and
Mhm.
then but you saying have a poker face. Don't show that you're excited that they offer a little more than you was expecting. You said, hold on, pause, put your straight face on, and hold on, because you may be able to
Well,
have a bigger bag.
well, no. So there, in the example we gave, this is giving you exactly what they said they would give you. So in our example, we
Okay,
said 72 to 85, and they're giving you 85. So it's
they
not
give
what
you
you
80.
said. Yeah.
Okay.
But the poker face is actually a happy, polite face, not a
Mm-hmm.
what? You're giving me what?
Okay.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
don't do that. And the reason why
Okay.
you don't do that is because you're still interviewing. You're still in the process. You don't show people frustration in that
Of
process. You
course.
say, I mean, I'm confused. I thought you said you don't do that. You don't. So that's why you slow down. You say, thank you. I'm excited. I loved my interview as well. Can you please explain some things to me about the salary packages, bonuses, benefits, and all that good stuff, right? You're writing this down, but it's also giving you a little bit more time to kind of reassess because you never know when you're going to get that call. It's not like you were prepared. You could be walking into a grocery store, like anything could be happening. So you're giving
Exactly.
a little bit of time to like let's calm this all down. And you said 85,000. Okay, great. You said there's an annual bonus of 10% of your salary. So it's $8,500. Okay, great. And then you said that I get 12 vacation days. Awesome. Okay, great. And now you're thinking, let's go back to the research. A senior operations manager or someone that has 10 to 15 years is typically getting paid $95,000. They just offered me 85. Two things. One, are they trying to lowball me? Two, did I not create enough value in the interview for them to give me a salary? Three, is this just their starting point for everyone because they expect me to negotiate? So that last one's very important. I have stopped doing this as a hiring manager, but when I was younger and I didn't understand that people didn't know how to negotiate, they really didn't know how to negotiate. I offered this girl who had a nice amount of experience, and that it was like think this was in 2016 maybe. I offered her a banker role, and I gave her a salary of like 37,000. And in my mind, I said, I'm gonna lowball her at 37,000. She's gonna come back at 41,000, and then I'm gonna give her 39.5. That was my mindset. And she accepted 37. I was pissed off. I was so hurt for her, but then I was also hurt for myself because I felt bad that I thought I was being strategic so we could get to a number so she could, and she never negotiated. And when I left that company, because I was getting promoted, I remember telling
Mhm.
her, I took her to the side. I said, don't ever in your life do that again. She's like, well, I was just so desperate. I just wanted to get the job. I hadn't worked in 6 months. I'm like, girl, I don't care what happens. Do not ever accept that first offer. So keep that in mind that people still do that. Managers, hiring managers, recruiters still offer you something with the expectation that you're going to try to negotiate. And when you don't,
Mm.
61% of people leave money on the table and do not get paid fairly or in a line. They're not aligned with their peers when they're getting hired. So keep that in mind. So anyway, you have 85,000. You were expecting more. You know that people with your level of experience get 95,000. The recruiters now finish explaining everything to you. They've told you all your benefits. You keep that happy, calm, um, spirit and demeanor, and you say, all right, recruiter, thank you so much. Okay. So I'm not going to lie. I really was not expecting 85,000. I appreciate that you kind of broke down everything to me. I was more so expecting a salary that aligns with my experience. As you know, I've been in this industry for 12 years. I'm a top performer. I guess I want to figure out how can we get closer to a number that actually makes sense for my expertise. I was expecting to come in closer to $100,000. And they'll say, oh, okay. Well, I know we discussed on the phone that it was between 72 to 85. Yes, we did. And I remember I also let you know that I had done some research and the salaries that I saw were quite a bit higher than that. And you let me know that contingent upon the interview, because you're using their words back to them, contingent upon the
Mhm.
interview and my experience, the salary could be higher. So this isn't necessarily higher. I'd like us to go back and see how we can get to closer to 100,000. Because really, my number in my head's like 93 or 95, but you can't say that. You have to go higher than that
Yeah,
because
you
they.
can't say that.
So then they say, okay, well, um, all right, wow. Let me go back to the let me go back and see what they say and see where we go from there. Okay. That conversation is gonna sound very scary to you. You're gonna feel like shit, that is messed up. Why she sound like that? Like, oh my gosh. You have to understand that for them to offer you this sole role, they really like you. And
Okay.
if they like you, they want you, they will pay for you. Okay. So you kind of have to have like the bougie cute girl attitude when you're going into negotiation. Like y'all want me. Okay. Like you have to kind of act like that when going through negotiations because they just told you they want you. Oh, we like that person. We want them. Go ahead and draw up the paperwork. Go ahead and take the time to write it all out. Get everything prepared for that one person. That's who we like. That doesn't mean that there's nobody else back there, but there's second choices. You are the one getting the offer right now. So you have time to negotiate. So you go back, they say, okay, I'll try to give you a call back. Okay, great. Thank you so very much. And you leave it at that. You then will get a call in a couple days, couple hours, or maybe even a week or two. However long it is, you just let it sit there. You can always reach back out and ask, like, hey, it's been a week and a half. I was just trying to see if there's anything coming back from that
Yeah,
request.
that's me right there. I'm like, hey, y'all ain't hit me up. What's going on?
Yeah, you give it some time. Like, don't be thirsty, right? You just give it a little time, and they'll say we're still working on
Don't be thirsty. Oh man. Oh, okay. Okay.
it. Yeah, yeah. So like we're still working on it. Okay, great. And then that's when they'll call you back and they'll say, hey, they're gonna say either one of a couple things, right? They're gonna either say, hey, listen, I went back with the managers. We all discussed. We went to bat for you. I mean, we really did a lot, and Unfortunately, 85,000 really is our cap. We cannot go higher. I apologize that I made it seem like it could be higher, but that is our cap, mostly because of the region you're in, mostly because of this, or mostly because, our budgets have changed recently. The pandemic's really done things to us, whatever they say, right? And you say, okay, so we're not able to get higher than 85,000. No, okay. And then that's when you might go to a second negotiation. Well, since I can't increase my salary, I would at least like to figure out how I can get to a salary that still makes me feel comfortable where I can do my job here, because I do love this company. You guys are awesome. What about going back to your manager, or to the hiring manager, and saying, can you please increase my annual salary from 10% to 13%? And instead of 12 vacation days, can I get 14 vacation days? And I think if we're able to meet there, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable moving forward. So now you've increased your annual percentage bonus, and you've given yourself a couple more vacation days. If they come back and say no to that, and they're saying what we gave you is what we gave you, personally, I wouldn't take that job. They're not willing,
Really?
but I wouldn't. And the reason why, and again, I'm talking from the luxury standpoint of already having one. If you don't
Okay.
have one, you might
No, we
say,
talking about people that have a job. We talking about you have a
okay,
job already.
yeah, yeah. If I have a job, I'm not taking that. If I know I could have gotten 95,000, and you're not even budging on anything, you're not. How do you think your annual raises or conversations are going to go? How do you think
Oh,
that's
good point.
if they're not
Good
even
point.
willing to negotiate in the offer stage of getting you in? They're not going to negotiate
Mhm.
with you in our next part of our conversation with how do you increase your salary at an internal position. They're not even going to be open to that. So I'm not interested. And you're being underpaid. Technically, you've done the research. That's not the best salary for you. You're at the bottom of the totem pole there. Why? You might be getting paid more than that now. Like, what's the point? So, I wouldn't take that actually. So they might say that. Now, the other thing they might say is, "Hey, Reina, thank you so much. You said you wanted to get you closer to $100,000. I did get back to them. We went to bat for you. I know it took a little while because we were really talking to all the high ups. We had to get an exception. They're telling you all these things they did, right? And ultimately, we were able to come to $89,000. 89,000 from 85. So they came up a little. Still not
Yep.
exactly where you want it, but they're up a little bit. Okay. And they know they're not telling you a number you want. So you say, okay, 89,000. Man, first of all, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to go to bat for me. I really appreciate it. You're a great recruiter. Oh, okay, great. Thank you. Yep. So I will say that 89 is not exactly where I was hoping to be, but I think that we can make this work. What if we were able to accept that 89,000 and then possibly increase that annual salary percentage to 13%? And if that's not possible, at least give me a 6-month review where we have potential to increase my salary by 5 more percent. Which one can work? I want to see what we can do. Please take that back to them, but I want to see what we can do with that, because I think we can finally meet in the middle where I would feel more comfortable so I can start performing. And then you tell them a 6-month salary review. So look at my performance in the first 6 months, and then if you don't get it, by then you'll see exactly why you wanted to hire me and why I deserve a little bit more. So then you have a 6-month review, and in that review, you're asking for that 5% raise because it was part of your offer package. Okay,
Mm.
so you want to make sure that's written in stone. That's just what it is. And then the last example that they could give you is, Raina, we went to bat for you. We've done everything we could. And I know you asked for 100,000, but we can get you to 94,000. 94,000? Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay, where can I sign?
huh?
I'll be like, okay, where can I sign?
Yeah, like, you've done a great job helping me. I'm so excited to start working with you guys. That is a salary that I can accept. I'm very excited. Thank you so much. So what's the next steps? And that's it. And the reason why that 90, we were thinking 95, but 94, don't go back from when you're so close to the number. Like, at that point, they might be like, girl, bye. We did everything. We just gave you a $9,000 raise from our original
Bye,
offer.
Felicia.
Yeah. Um,
So go ahead. Go ahead.
that's just so I went through like a couple different examples of how that could go. Now, those first two might feel very uncomfortable to you, especially the one where they gave you $89,000. You might be like, look, that's more than 85, except you can absolutely do that. But just remember that you can negotiate other things that are not just salary. You can negotiate that you want a 6-month review of your performance. And if I'm performing not only satisfactory, but exceeding expectations, I would like to make sure that that is discussed in alignment with a 5% raise. You can also discuss benefits. If I'm not going to
Mhm.
get the money I want, at least give me extra vacation days. You can also discuss even more benefits. So maybe a stock option, a 401k option, something education benefits. There's so many different things that you can do that can be discussed in the offer stage and only in the offer stage that
Exactly.
you should go to if you're, especially if you're not getting the salary you want and they know you're not getting the salary you want. So if you were clear that you were looking for $100,000, and mind you, there are people out there that give very strict advice, like don't tell people you want that much more than what they offered you. Like that's like you're setting yourself up for failure. They're gonna be like, okay, her aspirations are crazy. Just no, never mind. Like we don't pay $100,000 for this role at all. But you have to, if you don't do your research, that's how you can make a mistake like that. So you don't
Yep.
want to accidentally ask for something that's not even possible in the role. I mean, I've had bankers ask for $80,000. I'm like, why would you ask for that? Like, it's not an $80,000 job. Like,
Yeah,
it's not
they
eighty
didn't
thousand
even
dollars.
do the research. They didn't even do the research to see what the
Yeah,
what the range is from the beginning.
right. So,
Like,
I've also had people do lowball themselves, which makes me look at them differently too. Where I'm like,
mm,
you want $39,000? Like, yeah, okay. You said you've been in banking before? Yeah, like, okay. Like you don't know how to even do your research for your money, and you want to be a banker. I don't like that. So it just depends on. Then now, mind you, I'm not gonna lie. If it's a person of color, I don't do that. If it's, if I'll be like, listen, come here, because we need to talk. Like you cannot say that number. Like I'll help my people out all
yeah,
the time because there's a lack of education. I'll help anybody honestly, but if there's a lack of education there and not just laziness, there's a difference. So I want to educate those that I know that have been undereducated in things, but it also
exactly.
does show that you don't know something when trying to get into a field where you should know money. So yeah. Um, I hope that answered the question. I hope that was a helpful
No, no.
question.
I love how you formatted it, the answer, because it talked about every stage through the whole process. What if this happened, that happened? I love that. But now let's get into the other side of the coin. You've been
Yeah.
working at a position now, you know, and we talk about a person that's for the most part been performing well, doing a job, hitting all their goals, just being a good employee overall. So
Hmm.
what's the approach for that person? Because we're not talking about somebody that just want a basic, what's the average, like a 6 or 5
Merit.
percent merit increase, because everyone get that for the most part. So what's the goal, or what's the tactic and the plan to tackle against something bigger than that?
Yeah. So again, it starts before the conversation, right? So let's say you've been working at a company for 5 years and it is January, whatever. So this means that everyone, just so you know, right now, people are having their performance review conversations. They're going to be getting their merit increases. They're going to be getting their bonuses between January and February, right? That is a
Mm-hmm.
too late time to ask for more money, okay? Because it's already been put in. Like most likely, it's already been put in. It's already happened. There's 2 times in a year, typically, depending on the type of company that you can ask for increases. There is a 24-hour, 20 every day time where you can ask for an increase, and that's a whole different situation. But the first thing is you need to understand the expectations of your manager, and not just your manager, but of the company. Because sometimes, what if your manager leaves halfway through and you've been doing everything to get them happy, and you get a new person that's not impressed by what you've been doing, right? So you want to make sure you have a
Exactly.
good understanding of the expectations from the company and your manager of what equates to exceeding expectations, not for the most part doing well, which is what you wrote, performing well. No, what exceeds expectations, and you need to quantify that and understand that and have that conversation in the beginning of the year or whenever, as early as possible in the year. So let's say it's March. Manager, what can I do to set myself up to perform at a level that is above my peers? Well, hey, you get here first, you leave here last. You come in and you do this. You do action item 1, 2, 3. So action item 1, 2, 3 would put me apart from my peers. Great, awesome. Thank you. That's it. You need to at least understand what makes you better than the others.
Mm,
That is why you should get paid more than them. You're not even getting a promotion. We're not talking about promotion. We're talking about a salary increase. And
correct.
you performing for the most part well does not equate to I should get paid more. That just means, I'd like to have more money, but that doesn't mean I should get paid. I mean, everybody would like to have more money,
Yeah.
So it's like, how are you performing better than everyone else? So you need to at least understand that. And you also need to make sure that you get it from the horse's mouth, the person that
They're
will
making a decision.
that's making decisions. So
Okay.
1, 2, 3 means I've exceeded expectations. And you need to write that down, send it to yourself in a message, write it on your computer, put it on a sticky note, whatever you need to do to make sure that you never forget that Boss Bob said this is what I need, because you're going to bring that up later. Okay. And by the way, I'm saying things that I have done for myself and that I've coached others to do that has proven track record of success. So that's one part, right? And throughout the year, you do action item 1, 2, 3 to the best of your ability. And then usually around October and November is when merit increases are being talked about. It's usually when performance reviews are being written. It's usually when conversations about money start to happen. Okay. And
Yeah.
when you're having let's say you have your mid-year review, you let them know, like, towards the end of the year, I'm really going to be interested in seeing how I can increase my salary, kind of drop that nugget early. Let me know, like, I am working on action in 1, 2, 3 to really kind of get there. You might like want to drop a nugget. But when it's time to have the conversation, so let's get there now. So I just want to make sure it's very clear. People who get salary increases that are past the level of merit are not just good. And the other issue with that is self awareness. I have talked to so many people that think that they are amazing at their jobs, and I do not agree with them. And I'm the
Mm.
one that has to I have to be the one to give them an increase. Well, I've been staying late every day. I've been staying late, and we've been short staffed. I've been staying late every day for the last 4 months. So of course I deserve a raise. Everybody on this team's been doing that, and you're late all the time, and you have a bad attitude. So no, like, you're not doing anything. Like, everyone's been staying late. It's not just about you. It's a team. Like, we all have been feeling so it's like I had so many people who have this self-righteousness of like, I've done so much. It's like, have you done more than them? So that's why you need to make sure you're performing higher than your others. Because if that means everyone's gonna get the same raise, or
Hmm.
whoever's better is gonna get more. Mind you, again, I just give my I usually just give the raises to my high performing people without them even asking. I rarely get asked. I literally will figure out ways to get them more money all the time. So I'm my people are blessed with me, but I mean everyone's not like that, right? So anyway, so let's get to that conversation. So what you do when you're having, let's say, your annual review, it's the time for the annual review where we're talking about how well you did, you're getting scored or whatever. Typically there's like a score that you get every year to see how well you've done. Maybe it's 1 through 5, or you've done well, you did not do well, you exceeded
Hmm.
expectations, some type of scaling system to track and measure your performance. During that conversation, I would highly suggest that is the time to communicate about your salary increase. So let's talk about that and kind of break it down.
Okay.
Another thing that you do not do in this conversation is talk about how you feel like I feel like I've been coming into work all the time and working extra hours. It does not
Fuck
matter how
your
you feel.
feelings.
Yeah, it is it's a feeling versus facts conversation, and you want to
Yeah.
make sure that you are completely engaging in the masculine energy of facts and do not have any emotions when
You hear that,
communicating.
ladies? It's all the with keyword masculine energy. That's the only time y'all need to be using masculine energy.
Yeah, I mean the workplace calls for it often, but yeah, so feelings versus facts, this is not how you feel. This is all about facts. And fact is, Bob, in March, you told me that I need to do action item 1, 2, 3 to exceed expectations. And it looks like not only have you've given me all top marks this year, so thank you. But I want to explain to you how I've done that this year and what I've worked on and the value that I've brought. And I want to explain to you the results of doing action items 1, 2, 3. So now you're saying, not only did I do what I needed to do, but the results of it were great. I brought this company $20 million in the last 3 quarters. I was able to increase our customer satisfaction by this much. I've also been able to coach and mentor and develop on my own my peers. And now those two are doing great too because of my work that I've done. This is part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation with you, Boss Bob. At this point, I think that I have shown that I deserve a higher salary increase, and I want to talk about our options to do that. So you were very specific. Do you think that's a conversation like, I feel like I've been really working hard, I've been helping people and I've been making it, I've been making everyone happy, I bring in cookies and I do this, like no one cares like about that. Like make it very fact based. It is not about that. It's how did you help us beyond your role? And if you're not
Yes.
in a position for promotion yet, because there's no role for you to go to, then you absolutely should be getting a salary increase. Or maybe you don't want to be promoted. Maybe promotions to be a manager, and that's not what you want to do. You love your role. You just want a higher salary. You have to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you're able to quantify your results and your success and be able to deliver that in a communication style that can be well received. Meaning you don't want to get emotional, like we said. So you want to just make sure you're very fact based. The main thing is you take an inventory of what you've done, you quantify your results, you communicate that in a performance review conversation. Now that performance
Okay.
review conversation can either be in mid-year one or the end of year. End of year is usually when that's more common. Okay. Once that's done, you stop talking and you let your manager tell you what's going to happen. You're like, okay, great. Well, yeah, every year we do merit increases. And that range is something we could talk about your merit increase and see what we can do for you there. Okay, great. Awesome. I love that. I would say that outside of the merit increase, I'm really looking to increase to a certain percentage. So should I have that conversation with you now or should that be later? Like, how should we communicate about this? Kind of like putting it in there, putting the ball in their court. Well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, now would be the best time to talk about it because we have to do salary increases in the next couple of weeks. Great. And that's typical. When you have your performance review, it's typical that it's right around the time that these decisions are being made. Even if it's in November, you're gonna get your salary increase in January or February. In November or December, early December, or even October, those decisions are being made usually. So that's the time to talk about it, and you want to make sure you're on point with them.
So basically, you're saying the quarter before the year end, that's when you need to go to Boss Bob and ask him for the what's the gold standard that I need to reach to get to where I'm trying to get to, correct?
I'm glad you asked it like that. I would suggest that you ask in quarter 1 and perform up to quarter 4, and then
Okay.
have your results. So quarter
Okay,
one,
gotcha.
early quarter 1 is preferable because that's January or February. That's when you're getting the salary now. You're not having the conversation. You're getting the money now. So
Mm-hmm.
right now, you're like, hey, just so you guys know, I'm going to talk to you about your salary increases. This year, you got a 3% raise. And you're like,
Ugh.
okay, all right, 3%, huh? Okay, inflation's like, I don't know, gone
7,
from
5.
7, 8 to 15 to 14%, like back and forth, record highs in the last 2 years. So Got it, 3%. And then that's when you say, okay, great, thank you so much. Hey, Bob, I have a question. Um, what are the top three things I need to do to stand out from my? That's when you ask that. It's not in retaliate because that's just when you're like, I need to have an increase that is reflective of my work, not just a standard merit increase. So you want to have that conversation. When they bring up merit increase, though, you got to be careful because it's a little bit of a trick. Merit increase is what you would have gotten anyway. And you do not want them to
Mm.
try to couple that and act like your merit increase is a salary increase. You're asking for something different. And if unless they make it clear that they're going to be giving you a very certain percentage, and that's when you have to ask for that percentage. I would like a 10% raise. So you have to say that at some point. So, but kind of being respectful and polite is very important within that time frame. So back to the performance review conversation. Is now a good time or whatever? Nope, now it's a perfect time. We're having discussions about merit increases. Great. So with that being said, Boss Bob, based off the work I've done, not just this year, but in the last few years, and the things that I've been able to bring, as we discussed, I took a look at the salary of my peers at other companies. I've taken a look at the salary of this role, and I've noticed that I have a potential to increase my salary up to 10%. I want to have a 10% raise. And now you just did more research-based conversation that's even outside of what you did in the company you're working for.
Let me ask
Sorry,
you
what?
this. Would you suggest, I really don't know the answer to this, would you suggest someone asking a peer about their salary? I know it's, oh, you don't supposed to talk about salary. I don't, that's what they say do, but what would, how would you suggest that? Like, hey, you know, I don't know, you want to tell them that your peer all your business what your strategy is, but you just ask them, hey, what are you making? What's your thoughts on that?
So recently, there's been legal like leadership change in certain states where you're no longer allowed to fight back against pay transparency. So, meaning pay transparency is now required in certain states, meaning that the company has to tell you the salary for the roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coupled with that, a lot of companies have now had to change their policies and not require people, peers, to not talk about salary. Meaning, it's actually not that common anymore for a company, or shouldn't be, for a company to require you to not communicate about your salary. It's not taboo. You shouldn't get in trouble for it. No one should be trying to get fired for it, or like take something away from you. I would highly suggest that you look at the policies of your company, make sure that they're with the times
Mm-hmm.
before doing that. For example, I let my team know. I remember like 4 years ago talking about your pay could get you in trouble. And then this year, the policy has changed at my company. And I let all my team know, like, just so y'all know, the policy's changed. If y'all want to talk about your pay, you can. And the only reason why I was so comfortable with that's because they all get paid the same thing there. I've literally lined them all up. So like, I mean, when I came, there was a lot of gaps and changes. I have worked it to where they basically all get paid the same because they are bonus and incentive based employees. So your
Yeah.
pay will come from your bonuses, not the salary. So I was like, go ahead and check. So look what I did for you. I'm silly like that with my team. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but absolutely, you can find out from a peer what their salary is. But you can also find out on reputable sites like PayScale, Salary.com, Glassdoor. You can also find out from those things where you don't make someone feel uncomfortable. But if you're very close to somebody and you guys are comfortable, you can let them know, hey, I've been doing some research. I noticed that our position can pay up to $50,000. Are you getting $50,000? Like, I mean, I just want to make sure, like, is it just me
Yeah.
that's not?
Yeah.
And they might be like, hell no, I'm like 10,000 below that. Me too. So it might be like you're more comfortable. And maybe they're
Yeah.
getting paid 40, maybe they're getting paid 42, maybe they're getting paid 38. Like, but the point is you have a better understanding that they are significantly below. Or they could be like, of course I'm getting that. What isn't that like that's the expectation? Like, uh-huh, yeah, yeah. Damn. Okay, good. They're getting paid $10,000 more than me. I'll say this: when I first became a AVP, my peers were getting paid almost $30,000 more than me.
Damn.
Yes, $30 to $35,000 more than me as an assistant vice president in consumer banking. And the excuse was that I had never been an AVP before. I didn't have a lot of experience. If they didn't promote me, I probably wouldn't get an AVP role anywhere else because typically you need to have experience to get that role. So they kind of were like, take it or leave it, girl. You're not going to get this chance anywhere else. So they felt they had the up and up on me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I took the role. I took the role on purpose because they made a very good point. Little did they know. You're right. I won't get this role if I never have done it. So I did that role for like 6 months and then became a VP someplace else. But
Oh
because I
wow.
had that my resume and I had worked for that company for like 5 years, it looked like I was an AVP for 5 years.
Mm.
I only did it for 6 months. They don't even know that I worked for the company for 5 years. My title when I left was AVP. It doesn't say how long I've been one. And I interviewed for a higher paying job, and then I started getting paid more than my peers at the last one. So
Okay,
you have to
that's what I
like
was going to say.
know.
We got to pause right there. That's this. I You brought this up. Okay, you bringing this up. This might be a whole nother topic, but I think it
Oh,
kind of correlate and connect together. The structure of the resume, like you made a point, most people not don't even know about. How can you structure your resume? This kind of going back to kind of ties into the LinkedIn part to
yeah.
before you even talk about salary, but it puts you in a range where you better look in. How can you frame that resume? We don't have to get too deep into it, but I think you made an interesting point.
With in regards to what framing the resume, like what part?
Like you just said, like, well, they don't know how long I've been this AVP, or it's all about framing. Like you framed it very well. Do you
Yeah.
have any tips on framing a resume?
I mean, I think like when it comes to resume writing, again, I mean, I don't know if it's just because of how much my role in having to look at resumes so much, but your resume one should not necessarily be a lie, but it can be embellished. Okay. So meaning you can get a little like dramatic with some stuff. There's certain words you can use that might just really make it sound better. For
Yeah, make it.
example, when I was 18, I was a lead teller. To me, teller lead didn't sound like nothing exciting. So I put lead supervising teller or teller supervisor. It's the same thing, but
Just sounds better.
it sounds better, right? And as an AVP, there's another like term for it, which is like just manager. There are people out there that just put manager on their resume.
Ugh.
Uh,
Yeah,
sir, I'm an assistant vice president. That
that
sounds
sounds so
great.
much better.
It's my and it's mine. I get to say that. But you could also just say manager. Like why? I would rather say assistant vice president. That sounds good.
Okay.
It's my
Yeah,
office
it
title.
sounds good.
Um, and then the other thing is this, kind of like what we talked about, what you just said. You really want to be careful about accidentally putting too many roles within a role, right? Unless there's a specific reason why. Meaning, did you want to put I don't know, did you want to show the progression of your promotions to show that you've been having success and you've done all different types of things? Do you want to put in specific roles you've done if they're in different departments to prove that, hey, although when I left I was the operations manager, I spent 4 years as the treasury manager as well. I'm interviewing for a treasury role now. So you want to just like honestly, your resume should be ever fluid and constantly changing depending on who you apply for. You certainly should not use the same resume for every application and what you do. For example, I worked in higher education for some time in between banking. And when I worked in higher education, I worked in the call center side. I don't have that on my resume. because it's just not important to me. Like it's not like
Yeah.
whatever. I worked on the call center side, whatever. But if I were to interview for anything that has call center, my current resume would not look like I have 5, 6 years experience as a high level manager in higher education in a call center. So I would go back and put in call center director, and that way it makes it more clear. So you have to just kind of be more comfortable with like maneuvering it to fit whatever you're applying for. So I don't know if that
Wow.
answers. Hopefully that answers.
No, it did. No, it makes sense. A lot of people, that it seems so simple and it may seem like it's common sense, but a lot of people may not know to do that. Just those little details, it can be the difference in getting more money. It may be the difference of getting a job, or somebody taking an extra look, like taking time looking at your resume and not putting in that bullshit stack. Um, so those are good tips, man. And
Actually, I want to give one more tip. I'm so sorry because there's so many
no, go
entrepreneurs
ahead.
and about that. It's relevant because I just helped a young lady with this. She owns a trucking business and she's been doing the trucking business for the last 5 years solely,
Mm-hmm.
her own. And she's ready to get back into the workforce. She needs a little bit more consistency. And she's like, Reina, I used to be in banking. I was a relationship banker back in the day. I know you do banking. She's like, and I just can't go back to being, just a regular banker. I want to be a manager. And I think that with my 5 years experience as an entrepreneur and running an entire trucking business, I have the skill set to do this, but I have been sending out resumes. I've been doing applications and no one is calling me back. I didn't even have to look at her resume. I said, and what is the title you have for your position with your trucking company? CEO, co-founder, whatever, like owner. I was like, okay, that's why no one's calling you. What do you mean? I was like, you have to understand the difference between there's a level of respect that most people have for entrepreneurs when they've gotten to the point that they never need to work for someone else again. But you are going to express to somebody how you were so great at your role owning a company
That you coming back.
and you're coming back to the workforce somehow. Like it doesn't sound like it, and even it doesn't mean it didn't go well, but you have to understand corporate America and people that do not do their own businesses, they have no clue the amount of work you've done. They have no
Exactly.
understanding of the amount of sacrifice and risk that you've assumed. They have
They
no
look
idea
at
what you've done. It just looks like you probably stayed at home with your kids and did a little something, and now you're putting on your resume. They do not respect it. And
at
you
all.
right. And when you are an entrepreneur, you're in a world where you get a lot of accolades, you got a lot of hand claps. People are pumping your head up because they're so proud of you. Like, wow, you did that? That's amazing. And you forget that in the other world, corporate America, they don't really like think that great of people coming back into the workforce from working their own businesses. So I had her change her role from co-owner, CEO, president, whatever she had in there. And I said, you're looking to become a branch manager. You need to put sales and operations senior manager. She was like,
Mm.
but that's not, I'm like, put sales and senior operation manager of
It's
that
that
company.
pride, that ego.
Yeah, let it go. Let it go. And change the description of what you did to specifically things that were centered around sales and operations management. And then when they say we want to do a background check and verify this role, your husband will verify your role. Y'all got the same last name anyway. Have him verify. Man, Jessica was an excellent sales and operations manager, or whatever you want to say. The other thing is, a lot of businesses only need to verify that you actually did the job. So they might not even have to talk. You could just send a letter stating this person had this role and worked this job from this time to this time. Because it's a legitimate business. You have an EIN, you're registered, you're a legitimate business. Okay. Um,
Mm-hmm.
she did that on a Monday and she just had her first interview last Friday. Her
Wow.
first interview after she's been trying to get an interview for months. It couldn't even get an interview. And she finally did it. And she called me, told me, asked me to help her. I said, "Did you change the resume?" She's like, "That's the only reason why I have this call, this interview now, because I changed my resume." So you really need to just think about like how those titles work, contingent upon what you're trying to apply for. Now, I mean, if she was applying for a trucking company, startup company to help run, the management side of that, sure. But you're a whole different world. That's not a startup; it's a corporation. So that's kind of goes back to the resume. Um, I know we veered off from the.
No, this all within the same. I know it feel like we veering off, but I'm gonna be
Okay,
honest, it's not. It's all of this stuff really ties in together. It
yes,
all
yes,
ties
it
in
is.
together because it's salary negotiation. It's not just a back and forth thing. All you got to do certain things before you even get to that level. So it all ties in. To me, it does. I mean, it
Yeah,
really does.
I think that it's so funny because like I always find I am probably one of the only people in the world that loves negotiation. And I'm talking about I love negotiating anything. I love going to go buy a car. It's my most favorite time. I can't
No,
wait to get in there and negotiate. I love negotiating I love making them uncomfortable and they've been all shocked by like my knowledge. I love it. It's like my most it is awesome.
ma'am, you
So
don't want to take this warranty? Come on, take
huh?
this warranty. You hit them
I
with the
love
no with the
negotiating the
warranty.
warranties. I love negotiate. I love when they think I think it's all done. Now we're going to the finance manager. I'm like, here's your packages. We're gonna negotiate that too. We're negotiating this. We're negotiating like I'm negotiating every. I love it. But no, people usually don't like it. It's a very uncomfortable feeling for a lot of people. They don't like the fear of rejection. They don't like the idea of what could go wrong. And that's why before getting into these situations, you really need to understand where's your hard stop, what would make you feel uncomfortable. If they tell you no, is it going to ruin your experience where you just don't want to work for the company anymore? Like, like you really need to just understand yourself and have a good understanding of like what to walk away from. And also,
Hmm.
if you explain to your boss all these amazing things you've done and they still tell you no, maybe you should walk away from something like that. So
Yeah.
but okay, so I want to kind of explain. So that one, I just as a quick recap, just as a quick recap, you tell your boss action item 1, 2, 3. You take care of everything. You explain to them what they want. You confirm that this is now the best time to talk. You then tell them the specific number based on research. So I want a 10% raise. I want my salary to increase to this. I want my hourly to increase to this, whatever it is. You tell them that and you let them go off and do what they need to do. And they come back and let you know, hey, merit increases will be out. I do want you to know that we went and spoke to all the people, the powers that be, and we will be increasing your salary by 10%. Or they'll say, we'll be able to do it by 7. The
Okay.
negotiation is not the same as in the offer where you're like, well, maybe I won't take it. Like you got to take it. Like it's just, it is what it is. Or you do or you don't. Now, let's say they tell you, no, we're not giving you anything. This is when salary negotiations change. This is when you do a whole different tactic. Okay. Let's say you don't even want to go through all this. You want the salary to increase immediately. That you don't want to wait a whole year to do this. You don't want to wait a whole year. You're ready to go. Okay. There's another way to increase your salary, but you have to have a lot of finesse to do it the right way and make sure that you have an understanding of how to communicate it. Okay. You've probably heard of this. When you go and get a job offer from someplace else and bring it to your job. Have you heard of that before? Yeah. So if
Not recently.
huh?
I heard of the concept, but not recently. But in the past, I have. But
Right? Yeah.
you got to be bold to do that.
No, you don't. I'm gonna
You
tell
don't
you
feel
what.
it?
If you do it the right way, there's no
Okay.
boldness. Okay.
Okay.
There's 2 things you can do. Okay. Now let me tell you the wrong way, which is the bold way, which is the way that could really jack you up. Okay.
Okay.
And that's the way that I would suggest you do not do to anyone that's watching. Don't do this unless you really don't care anymore. But just don't do this. You go, you apply for a role you don't like, you don't care, but they're paying more. It's like whatever. You go and do that. You do well enough. They give you an offer. You probably do or do not negotiate it. Whatever. Who knows? And then they give you the offer letter. You tell them thank you. I'll get back to y'all. Whatever. You go to your job. You go to Boss Bob. Boss Bob, I need to have a conversation with you. We need to talk. And you sit down with them and be like, listen, I just want you to know that I got a job offer someplace else. They're offering me $95,000. What can you do with that? Because I mean, if you can increase me to $95,000, then I can stay. But otherwise, like I love it here, but they're offering me more money right now. What do you think Boss Bob is going to do?
Go take the deal, buddy.
Like, shit, that's a good deal. Good luck. Bye. And it's like, I didn't want to go there. They're like 20 minutes from my house. This is 5. I've been here for 30 years. Like, like my friends are here. Like, I didn't actually plan on like really leaving. Like, hold on, I'm scared. Like, like this is too much. But the reality is that a lot of times people don't realize that their employers, it's not that they can't increase their salaries, but it's more so that if you already took the time to go interview, go do this, then you're gonna come into my office and be like, meet it or beat it. Go. You obviously don't want to be here anymore. So go. Like, does it suck that you're leaving? Yes. But most likely you're not, maybe you're for the most part performing well, and you've not been exceeding expectations anyway to bring it like this. So it's like, whatever. Might not go the best way. They might not have the same benefits that you're getting now. You just wanted to hurry to get an offer letter and try to throw it in their face like, okay, now you got to pay me. No. Let me tell you the right way to do this in a way that has finesse and class, and a way that could and should get you where you want to go without sullying your reputation with your manager. Okay. So let's explain this. So what you do some research, you go and interview. Now, I just told you that I interview with other companies. I interview maybe like twice a year, no matter what, at another company. I could be about to get a promotion in my job. I still will do it because I personally want to keep my skills up. I enjoy interviewing. I'm so weird. I enjoy interviewing. It helps me to get to know. I'm in Dallas now. I'm from Chicago. So I've been living here in Dallas and I've been interviewing. I know all of the regional senior VP, high level people in my industry now because I've been interviewing with them. And later they're like, yeah, I just moved. I'm just seeing what's out there. And I'm getting to know people. So it helps me to network. So if I ever did want to leave, I can. And then also I've been enjoying the salary negotiations, which I've been getting. There's been some that would not budge. There's been some that did budge. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I really wasn't planning on going. I don't tell them that. But, the point is like, I learned this. So, but the thing is, I interview like I really want the job. So when you're going to do this job offer thing, you should interview like you really want the job because you never know. They might actually offer you something that you're like, holy crap, I can't say no to that one. Like, I actually do need to take this. This is great, actually. So you really want to give it your all anyway, because you never know. Like, you shouldn't stay loyal to one company ever because they're definitely not loyal to you. So you just want to make sure you do what's best for you and really interview. So give it your best shot. You've already created your brand. You have a great LinkedIn. Your resume is a reflection of who you are for the role that you're interviewing for. You go in there, you interview the best you can. You take your time to really go through those questions. You have a great, calm, and polite, happy demeanor. And then you go through the offer. You do your negotiation that you learn. You say, thank you so much. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this job. When do I start? And they tell you, oh, when's the soonest you can start? Honestly, I need to give my company 3 weeks because I've been with them so long. I need to make sure that they can find someone to replace me or at least take care of my team. And the reason why you're saying 3 weeks is because you're giving your company 3 weeks to get their stuff together so they can keep you. Okay. And that way you can politely let them know soon. Actually, I'm sorry, I have to rescind my offer, right? So you take your offer, you go to your manager on a Monday, the 1st, and you let him know, hey, I want to have a conversation with you. This is how the conversation needs to go. To not
remember, this is Boss Bob that makes the decision, not your manager that don't have no power.
Yeah, exactly. This is, well, you should probably do it both of them, but yes, this is Boss Bob, right? So, Boss Bob, I wanted to have a conversation with you and let you know a couple things that's been going on and kind of get your feedback on what I should do next. Okay. As you know, I've been working for this company for 15 years. Let's not even do 15 years. That's too impactful. Let's say
2 years.
3 years. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I've been working for this company for 3 years. And the last 3 years, all my performance reviews have been exceeded expectations. I absolutely love what I do here. Things have been awesome. And the last year, I've been able to bring in $20 million. Our customer service percentages have increased, and that's a direct reflection of my role. I've also helped to do this, and this. I've helped on this and that, and I just really think that I've done a great job to set myself apart from my peers. Right? Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. Yeah. You have. You're awesome, Reina. You're great. We love you. I mean, you're just the greatest person we've ever worked with. Thank you. Thank you. I will say this: with the recent um, transparency in jobs, I did learn that I'm actually not at the level that I would like to be. And as you know, I love me some LinkedIn. And I've been on LinkedIn recently, and someone reached out to me and asked, if we could talk and get to know me, whatever. And I did. And I actually went through a process where I went through an interview, and they offered me the role. I will tell you that they offered me the role, and it's about $15,000 more than what I make now. And you be conscious of how your manager's looking. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit!" So I know this. I don't want to take that role, and I'm not going to take that role. I love working here, even though there's an opportunity for $15,000. I want to make sure I'm giving this company that I've done so well at an opportunity to meet me somewhere where I can feel more comfortable about my salary. They're offering me this $90,000, and I did let them know, like, man, like I really love my company. I want to know, what can I do? What can we do? How can we partner together to help me get to a salary that's reflective of what I've been doing, and also reflective of the competition? I want to
Yeah.
make sure I'm paid fairly. And Bob, do you think Bob's gonna be like, nah, bitch, take the job? No, they're not gonna do that. Excuse my language, but
Yeah,
like,
that's
no.
more. That's very tactical way. That's a very classy way to do it right there.
Yeah. Do you think that they're going to take it like they're being attacked? They feel like they're
Mm.
being threatened? Does it feel like, you know what, you can go? No, we started it off discussing my value, because we're
Yeah.
doing a skill again. You don't
And
start off.
it feels like you doing them a service the way that this way you feel like, damn, she giving us an opportunity to keep her because,
That's how
and
much
then on top
she.
of that, you said you didn't want to leave, you're not taking it. So it's like they feel more appreciated now because you giving them an opportunity, at least instead of just saying, hey, here go my shit. Can you beat it or not? This make them
Yeah.
feel appreciated.
Now, listen to the difference between the first negotiation that we talked about, where you're doing it during performance review. That was feeling versus facts. There are no feelings. This one feels like something, right? This one's more of a feeling thing. So when you're going to
But you
use,
still add facts in there though.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But there's definitely more feelings to it, because you're trying to make sure that in no way, shape, or form am I threatening you. And the way you make sure that that happens is by being a human and telling them, like, man, like, I love it here. This is great. Do you think a manager wants to let go of someone that loves coming to work? No. My employees that love coming to work, I don't know what is up with them, but I do. I literally do anything for them. They were like, Reina, I really want to have this day. Take it off. Take the day off. Do whatever you want. I literally, like, they all laugh at me. I'm like, whatever you want, take it. And they're like, okay. They're like, oh, Reina, I'm so sorry, I forgot to tell you, but I need to have a doctor's. I need to be off for a doctor's appointment tomorrow. Take it off, girl. I don't care. You come here every day. You're here on your off day. I will do whatever you want. Like, you make my life easier. My job is easier because you're here. My life is better because of you. And I have so many employees like that. I'm blessed. But imagine your managers are like that too, if they're good managers, if it's a good
Exactly.
company, if it's a good employer. Now, if you do what we just said, where they know you got offered $15,000 more, and that you have an offer letter, I'd be happy to send it to you so you can know, like, I have it. But like I said, it's I want to make sure I'm giving my company this opportunity because this is my home. I love it here. I mean, 3 years, you guys have helped me really do a lot of things. I've grown so much. I want to continue growing here. I want to see where I can go. And I'd love to keep finding out ways to get promoted and to help people and so on and so forth, right? So you're creating that futuristic conversation. They're investing in you. Invest in me. Invest in me. I'm willing to give you a chance to invest in me instead of me having to leave. Do you know how expensive it is to hire someone new and to teach them and ramp them up to get to the level of a high top performing employee? You're
Mm-hmm.
valuable. So at that point, they're going to go back, they're going to come back and they say, hey, we couldn't get to 15, but we got to 12. You going to take it or not? Like, of course you're going to take that. We couldn't get to 15, but we got to 10,000. Great.
Exactly.
I'm willing to take that because you may really like if you're doing all this, you really do like the company. You're not lying, I
Exactly.
hope. If you don't like the company, then take the
And if you
take
don't
the
like it, you just take the offer that the other person offers
That's the
you.
other one. So those are ways that you can do that where if you're going to use a job offer option, you really want to make sure you have the finesse with that, but also the value behind it. I remember that AVP role I had where they were paying me $30,000 less than my peers. It was like 30 to 35,000. And I actually gave them a 3.5 week notice, not for the job offer thing, but because I really loved my job and and I felt bad leaving my team. So
Yeah.
like I actually really gave a 3.5 week notice and they were even appreciative of that. And I remember my boss was like, Reina, is there anything we can do to keep you here? Is it salary? Like, what do you want? I'm like, I'll be honest with you. Uh, the fact that you're even offering me a salary increase and you were underpaying me makes me very uncomfortable. Like they're like, oh, well, I'm like you guys purposely underpaid me and now you're willing to give me more money because I'm leaving. No, I'm good. I think I'm good. Well, I mean, so you don't want anything more. Like I don't even think you guys could do more. I'm getting paid almost $40,000 more than I'm getting paid now. So oh yeah, you want the offer letter? I can send it to you. Like well, that was more me being funny. But I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
you will have people who will
And
be
you
willing
went
to
to the
offer.
other company when that happened. You went to the another company, right? The
Oh
new
yeah.
company. Okay.
I remember it was very interesting because I had a great manager who was the one that told me take the job with the underpaying. And I was like, I'm not taking it. So you're still getting maybe paid more than you got now. And all you need is the title. All you need is the title. Just get it on paper that this was your title. And he's like, in 2 years, go and get work someplace else and they'll pay you more. Because they won't be pulling out all these reasons as to why you don't deserve it. And it wasn't 2 years, it was 6 months. And that
Mm.
came from LinkedIn because I had changed my everything to AVP. I was taking videos and posting and everything all about my team and what I was doing with my team and how we were out in the community and how we were doing these fun things and pictures of my teams for their birthdays and showing like a culture that
Yeah.
anybody would want with their manager. If you want managers like that, and I was proving that on LinkedIn. And randomly, another company, a competitor, reaches out, asks me out for coffee, and we meet up at Starbucks. I never even interviewed for the role and paid me $40,000 more, just because
Mm.
my LinkedIn basically interviewed for me. That's not going to happen all the time. But my LinkedIn interviewed for me, basically. They're like, we love you. Oh my God, your LinkedIn is awesome. You're great. This was years ago. I mean, before
Wow.
LinkedIn was before people were really like popping on there. Like, yeah, I just love
Yeah,
it. Like,
yeah, yeah.
do you do these things?
LinkedIn is powerful. People, I
It
can't
is.
stress this enough, guys. LinkedIn is a powerful, powerful tool. And just because of I have a LinkedIn, I'm active on it. I'm posting. I don't post enough, I believe. I need to get better. That's one of my goals this year is to be more actively posting on LinkedIn. But I get people hitting me up just because where I work, they asking me about, oh, what can I do to get in the field?
Yep.
Are you able to help me get hired? I get inboxes all the time, people trying to get hired because of they see my LinkedIn, they see where I work. They be like,
Mhm.
can you get me in? I mean, I can give you tips, but to be honest, I'm like, don't look at that where I work. I don't have no pull, guy. I'm like, I don't have
But
that type of
actually, you
pull.
know what? You know what? If you have people that reach out to you a lot, you actually could end up. I don't know what you do specifically. I don't know if you like
Yeah, I'm
want to.
tech sales. I'm tech sales.
Oh, great! Oh, that's awesome. It's great. So I don't know for sure like where you want to go with your career, but I actually have used the fact that people reach out to me on LinkedIn as a selling feature to myself. You know,
Mm,
like like when it comes to like how will you? I've had people ask me in interviews, how would you, since you're new to the area and you've never been here, how would you help to hire on your and recruit people on your own? You don't know anybody here. I don't need to know anybody here. I've been getting to know people on LinkedIn from Dallas for 2 years. I've been planning to move here for quite some time. Do you know how many people reach
yeah,
out to me asking for roles and jobs and opportunities because they want to be my employer? They want to work wherever I'm working. I can show you. I can
well,
show you right now. I have 25 people in my inbox right now. I've said this in interviews where they're like, "Oh, like yeah, like I utilize it," and people reach out to me often, and I engage them and network with them. I have a huge networking community that I'm centered around. That's actually great if you're getting into a management role ever, a recruitment role, or if you just want to be a go-to your managers and they know that you engage this social media type, this professional social media. It's a great thing
yeah.
if you people reach out to you. But yeah, there's I can't say enough about LinkedIn, which is why I literally set up my team with LinkedIn's. I had a young man. He's like, I don't do social media. I'm like, you're gonna do LinkedIn. Trust me. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like, if
and
you
I
don't know
would
what to
even
do,
go,
do LinkedIn.
and Raina, I would even go further to say, get the premium version of LinkedIn,
Yeah.
because my current role I got with having a premium version of LinkedIn. I work in the tech field, one of the big tech companies, and
Mm-hmm.
because I restructure my resume to make it more attractive to SaaS or tech sales. And
Oh,
then
I
I
love.
had the premium version of LinkedIn too at that time. I had the premium
Mm-hmm.
version of LinkedIn. I was paying for that. So if you really want to invest in your career, make a true investment and get that premium version of LinkedIn. It'll definitely help you out with making yourself it gives you all these different features to help make yourself more findable,
Yeah, and
more,
it also
yeah,
helps you to reach out to people more.
mm-hmm,
So
exactly,
if one thing that I'm a big believer in, if you're looking to try to, we're not talking about salary negotiations in this part, but like let's say you just need to get your application looked at, and there's certain people who do not allow you to message them unless you're a premium, and
exactly,
allows you to message people that you couldn't message regardless or before. So, for example, the recruiter of the company that you just applied for, the head recruiter, and you want to message them like, "Hey, my name is Reina. I just want you to know that I've been doing this role for 100 years and I do great and I'm da 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 da. I applied on December 15th, but I've not heard back from anyone. I'd love to see if you could take a look at my application." That's absolute, mind you, you're using LinkedIn. If you can't hit send to send that because you don't have premium, you might want to get premium while you're in a serious job search because you want your applications looked at. You could easily start reaching out to people using the LinkedIn feature and message them. I
yep,
there was one that there was a role that one of my employees really wanted at a different company, and I'm the type of manager. I was helping her to leave because I just felt that she'd be better at that place and she'd have more opportunity. And we couldn't message this person, and I'm like, you need to get the premium girl, so you can go message her and get her to look at the application, and that helped a lot. So that's just one of those. I
hmm.
agree, fully agree.
Man, yeah, it's just the little things. It's just the little things. And
Yeah.
Raina, before we wrapped up, I just want to give you the last and final words. Like, this been a great conversation. I might have to chop this video up into segments because we covered so many different topics. Like, I
Yeah.
haven't been I've been this long on live in a long time. We've been on for over an hour and a half now. So, but it didn't feel that way. It really didn't feel like it literally felt like we was on here for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I just want to give you the final word, though. Parting words for the people.
I mean, I guess one of the things I just really want to, I hope that is taken from this is that, and actually you said in the beginning, negotiating your salary takes a level of confidence. And I think that the most important thing is to kind of look at your salary negotiation like you are helping your sister, your mother, or your brother instead, and you're fighting for them to get what they deserve. For me, it's easier for me to think of me fighting for myself. So I don't know like what works for other people. But it's a fight for what you deserve, and you really do deserve it. And you are worth it to fight for yourself or for others when it comes to being paid fairly. And we're in a world where a lot of people, over 61% of people, never get the pay that they're supposed to get, especially people of color, especially
Mhm.
women. It happens so, and I mean women of color, like it happens so much in our community. So don't be scared, practice it out. Reach out to people that you see on LinkedIn that have already gotten to where you want to be and ask them questions. Do the research, learn, watch the YouTubes, this one especially, with our conversation today, and really just
Mhm.
take ownership of your salary. We have way more control of it than you think. And there are a lot of tactics and books and things you can read to get there. So I know the confidence is going to be the first thing you have to work on, and then building your brand, and everything else will take you there very easily.
Man, Raina, that's a great wrap up. And guys, if you pulled any type of value out of the information that we talked about today, please go to the YouTube channel Black Empowerment Movement. If you're watching on Facebook or you watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. If you got some value from this conversation today on this broadcast, please subscribe to the channel. Give me a like. And also, let's get in the comment section. Leave a comment of whether you agree or disagree. Leave a comment. I would love to have a dialogue and discussion with you in the comment section. But like I said, I really do appreciate if you took value from this. Smash the like button, subscribe. But with that, guys, hey, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the broadcast this afternoon on this Saturday. And I ask always, all power to the people, and we out of here. Y'all take care.